Have you ever sent a message and then sent another one and then another just to make sure they understood you? You explain your tone, you explain your reasons, you explain what you didn't mean, and instead of feeling clearer, the situation feels heavier. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The more you try to make people understand you, the less they trust you. Not because you're wrong, not because you're lying, but because over-explaining quietly signals something you don't realize you're signaling. And once you see it, you won't communicate the same way again. The hidden psychology behind over-explaining. Over-explaining usually comes from a good place. You want clarity. You want fairness. You want to prevent misunderstanding. Maybe you grew up feeling misread. Maybe you were often told that's not what I meant, or you're overreacting, or you're too sensitive. So now you try to control the outcome. You think if I just explain it perfectly, they'll finally get it. But here's the paradox. The more words you use to secure understanding, the more you communicate uncertainty, and uncertainty reduces trust. Trust isn't built on volume, it's built on steadiness. More words means more doubt. Imagine someone says, I can't come tonight. Simple, clean, clear. Now imagine they say, I can't come tonight because I've had a really long week and I'm exhausted and I was going to try to push through, but I didn't want you to think I don't care, and I was worried it might seem rude, but what just happened? Nothing about the message changed. But the emotional energy changed. When someone over-explains, the listener unconsciously thinks, why are they trying so hard? What are they afraid I'll think? Are they hiding something? Even if you're completely honest, excess explanation can feel like defense, and defensiveness lowers perceived confidence. Confidence builds trust. Defensiveness erodes it. The executive function trap. There's another layer most people miss. Over-explaining is often a prioritization issue. If you can't identify the most important part of what you're trying to say, you say everything. You treat every detail as equally urgent. But communication is not data transfer, it's signal design. When everything is important, nothing stands out. So the listener goes into summary mode. They skim, they filter, they reduce your 2 pages into 1 sentence in their head. And often that sentence isn't the one you meant. Over-explaining doesn't increase clarity, it increases cognitive load. And when people feel cognitively overloaded, they disengage. Why simplicity feels powerful. Think about strong communicators. They don't rush. They don't flood. They don't stack reasons on top of reasons. They say, I don't feel heard, and then they stop. No essay, no courtroom defense, no psychological breakdown of the last 6 months. Just truth. And here's the key. If those 4 words aren't heard, no amount of additional words will fix it. You can't force resonance. You can only present clarity. The truth is like striking a bell. You hit it once, and you let it ring. If you keep hitting it, it becomes noise, and noise makes people tune out. The real emotional driver. Most over-explaining isn't about clarity. It's about anxiety. It's the discomfort of possibly being misunderstood. It's the fear of being judged. It's the old wound of not being believed. So we try to close every possible gap. We try to pre-answer every objection. We try to solve misunderstandings before they happen. But here's the shift. You don't build trust by eliminating all doubt. You build trust by tolerating some. When you say your truth once and stop, you signal, I'm secure enough to let you interpret this. That emotional stability is what people trust, not the explanation, the steadiness. Over-explaining versus connecting. There's nothing wrong with depth. In safe, mutual relationships, sharing your inner world is powerful. Explaining how you think, why you felt something, what something meant to you. That builds intimacy. But context matters. Not every conversation is a therapy session. Not every coworker is ready for your full internal processing. Not every acquaintance needs your entire backstory. When you give deep analysis in a shallow context, it overwhelms the space, and overwhelm creates distance, not connection. Trust grows in proportion to context. Match depth to relationship. The bottom-up mistake. Most people communicate bottom-up. They start with the tiny details. What happened, what someone said, what they thought, what that meant, what that reminded them of. And somewhere inside all that is the actual point. Strong communicators go top-down. They start with the core message. I need clarity. I felt dismissed. I can't commit right now. Then if needed, they add detail. But only if needed. This changes everything, because now the listener knows what to listen for, and clarity builds credibility. Text messages reveal everything. Texting exposes over-explaining fast. Instead of, would you like to get coffee Saturday? It becomes, hey, I was thinking maybe if you're not too busy, and I totally understand if you are. And I know you mentioned last week that you might have family stuff, but if not, I was wondering if maybe the longer it gets, the less certain it feels. And certainty, not perfection, is what people trust. Here's a powerful mental shift. Treat messages like conversations. Say one clear sentence, pause, let them respond. You don't have to deliver your entire mental archive in one transmission. Communication is a rhythm, not a download. The hard reality. This part stings. Sometimes the reason you over-explain is because deep down, you're trying to make someone understand who doesn't want to. And that's painful. It's painful to accept that not everyone is willing or able to meet you at depth. But over-explaining to someone who isn't receptive doesn't create understanding. It creates imbalance. You pouring, they skimming, you clarifying, they withdrawing. At some point, maturity looks like this. State your truth once. If it lands, continue. If it doesn't, don't chase. Trust requires two people. The practice of saying less. If you struggle with over-explaining, try this. Before you send the message, ask, what is the one sentence that matters most? Write that. Delete everything else. Wait. If they ask for more detail, give it. If they don't, it wasn't needed. This practice strengthens prioritization. It trains emotional regulation. It forces clarity, and clarity builds trust, because people trust those who know what they're saying, not those who say everything. Over-explaining doesn't make you weak. It often means you care deeply. You care about being accurate. You care about fairness. You care about being understood. But trust isn't built on how thoroughly you defend yourself. It's built on how calmly you stand in your truth. Say what matters. Let it breathe. Let the silence work for you, because the people who trust themselves don't need to over-convince anyone else. And when you stop trying to control how you're perceived, something surprising happens. People start listening more carefully, not because you said more, but because you finally said less.